Oh. Is it starting? Has it started? What's going on? What is going on? No. Let's reload. Let's reload. Let's do some music while it's reloading. Oh, I think we're cooking. I think we're cooking.
Early in the morning when the sun does rise, laying in the bed
Oh,
with
that's the
bloodshot
one I want to see.
eyes.
Perfect. Come on.
Late in
talking
the
about.
evening when the sun sinks low,
That's pretty cool. That's pretty
about
cool.
the time my rooster crows.
Yeah. And then,
I got women up and down this
once
creek,
you see multi-chat, I should be able to
and it keep
conversate
me
with
going and my
individuals if they
engine
decide to pop
clean.
into this stream, right? That's pretty cool.
Run me
I would like to
ragged,
thank
but I
you guys.
don't fret, 'cause there ain't
We're in
been
there
one
like
to slow me down
we're
none
fucking in there.
yet. Get me drinking that moonshine.
We got some
Get
nice Tyler
me
Chavez
high
playing
in the
right
grocery
before
bill. Take my trouble to
get
the
into these
high
videos.
wall. Throw
You already
me
know
in
how
the
we
river
do.
and get
We got some good videos lined up. We got this guy again, Damon Cassidy. I love his stuff. He goes into it very well. And we also got Lungs of Faith again. Two absolute studs in the YouTube space right now. I love their content. They're not super huge either. Lungs of Faith, 62,000 subscribers. If you guys want to support him. And then Damon Cassidy, getting close to 250,000. Fucking badass. And again, their content is super good. The production quality is great for both of them. They seem to be doing their research and really focusing on delivering a good product, which is essentially what every great YouTuber / streamer or whatever content creator is trying to do, right? I'm assuming so. I hope so. That right there was like my 5th cup of coffee. We're wired, boys. We're ready to see this and commentate and just really get into it. Bam. Let's double check, make sure the stream's good on both the thingies. Whatever, bro. Nice. Whoa, is it not working? No, it's working. Okay, cool. We are indeed barbecue chicken. Excuse me. My gosh. And let's record so we can get some clips later as well. Come on, I'm learning from my mistakes, guys. This is beautiful. This is a beautiful endeavor they were partaking. And the audio seemed to be well. Hey, what's going on, man? We're about to watch some videos right now, commentate on them, try to get some knowledge, and see if we can have a beautiful discussion about them. Or if that doesn't work, some brain rot is always, a viable option as well. But we'll see. What about y'all? What are you guys up to? How's life treating you guys? I think the first video we're going to watch is going to be this one right here, the Lungs of Faith video. I haven't seen this one yet. I've seen part of this one. Replacing humans with AI completely backfired. It's pretty good. And then this one I haven't seen yet, but I like the guy's videos. It's pretty cool. He goes really into detail. It's badass. I like creators like that who, put time and effort into creating great content. I love that stuff, and I love to support those individuals. Gotta show love whenever you can. At least I try to. But yeah, let's get into it.
The average man is up against NBA players, soccer stars, top streamers, influencers.
We're like a couple seconds in. This is from the beginning.
Dating sites like Bumble,
Tinder,
Hinge, Match, OkCupid.
Tinder is having trouble getting the young users to pay money to use their site.
Modern dating is a humiliation
shit,
ritual.
bro.
It used to be that men would meet a girl locally. Now the average man is up against NBA players, soccer stars, top streamers, influencers, CEOs, and models. Not just in your city, not just in your state.
How's the audio,
not
by the
even
way?
on your own continent, but
You guys can
worldwide.
comment.
All
How's the
because
audio?
of
Is
this.
everything good?
But how did we get here?
Barbecue
There's an
chicken or
$8
not?
billion industry that is not only fueling this modern dating crisis while being endorsed by presidents, but profits from keeping it this way, and most people still don't see what's going on. And when you have 60% of the dating population currently using one, the consequences are worse than you think. Now, there are hundreds of versions aimed at college students, blue-collar workers, blacks, Asians, Hindus, Catholics, Muslims, Mormons, vegetarians.
There's a dating app for everything, dude. It's insane. for everything. Why? And even the major ones suck. Like, you can get a whole bunch of likes and matches and stuff, but even then, as a guy, you just have to spend so much money, especially in modern day America if you live in a big city. Dude, it is so bad how much I have to spend while dating. It sucks.
Democrats, Republicans, divorced people, and even married people. But what bothered me the most is the fact that they are all owned by one company that seems to get away with anything under
Wow,
the
a
sun.
monopoly?
That's why today we're
Another
exploring
one?
the rise of what is perhaps the most
Hey, what's going
predatory
on?
industry in the
Patel?
world, how any of this
How's
is
it going,
even
brother?
legal, and asking the question, is it really a good idea that we've turned dating into a worldwide human casino? I'm betting no. In our last video, we
Even in
explored why
dating, you
men are
gamble
dropping
nowadays,
out
bro.
and not
That's how
getting
messed
married
up our
and
society
uncovering the
is.
whole century-long
Ridiculous.
organized schema behind that. Now it's time to zoom in on the elephant in the room. To do so, I interviewed some real single young men to understand their experience on dating apps. The CEO of Match Group, which
Right for
owns
hookups.
Tinder and
That's
basically
about
all
it.
these dating apps, has basically said in an interview there's a loneliness epidemic worldwide and that he believes dating apps are the only thing that can help fix it.
So what have you learned about dating?
It's important. It's existential. There's a loneliness epidemic and a mental health crisis globally, and it's driven by the fact that people don't have human connection. And I
Nah.
took this job because Match Group is one of the only companies.
I never believe the CEOs of these major corporations who are actually just monopolies, bro. I do not trust these people, bro. They seem kind of slimy. I don't know. That might just be me. I might just be a schizo and don't have faith in the modern, interpretation of what companies should be doing in our society. I just don't buy it, A lot of these people seem very shady, which is also backed up by, like, you look at the recent Epstein files, bro. Everybody there was a major corporation guy connected to the top of all the industries. It's like, bro, that made, like, I already didn't like stupidly rich people, but then seeing the Epstein files is like, dude, it's even worse now. I dislike people more of that, social hierarchy.
Is globally that can make a dent in it.
Do you buy that? Do you buy that?
That seems like total bullshit.
You look at his early lights. Yeah, no, absolutely not. No,
Everyone's tapped in. Everyone's tapped in, bro. We all know.
don't buy it.
No. Yeah, I guess strictly speaking, no.
Yeah, it's clown stuff, man. I mean, I guess he doesn't like having good numbers in the stock market.
Yep, you heard that right. So I decided to take Spencer Raskoff's
Also,
claims
how's
to
the
the
audio,
bank
guys,
and
by the
ask
way? Is
young
it
men
good?
about their
Chilling or
experience
no?
on dating apps. Which dating apps have you used?
Like almost all of them. I've used Hinge, Tinder, Bumble, Meet Me, Badoo, Facebook.
Catholic Match, Tinder, Hinge, a little bit of Bumble.
Hinge, Catholic Match, Upward. I've also installed Tinder and Bumble.
But after a while, man, it just turned into no messages, right? No matches, no responses. Women straight up messaging and just being like, I hate men. I had one chick straight up ask me to send her money, like barely no conversation. And she was like, you just gonna send.
That has not been my experience. Never has that happened to me. Usually the matches stay consistent. I get the likes and everything. Every now and then there'll be a crazy, like, schizo girl that'll throw a random comment out there, but that's about it,
money.
You've got to be kidding me. It's crazy how many of the things we hate, not just in dating, but in society in general, can be traced back to these platforms. And it actually makes perfect sense why. The rise in casual sex. A 2018 study in Archives of Sexual Behavior analyzed U.S. General Social Survey data and found that women's average lifetime sexual partners increased from 3.7 in 1989 to 7.1 in 2010, with the sharpest rise post-2010 coinciding with the app's growth. Among app
Hopefully y'all
users, a
can't hear my mother
2024
screaming in the
Kinsey study
background.
found that women on dating apps averaged 12.4 partners versus 7.2 for non-users. That's almost double, with 38% reporting more casual
let's run that
encounters.
back. Hold up.
Sharpest rise post-2010 in 19 casual sex. A 2018 study in Archives of Sexual Behavior analyzed U.S. General Social Survey data and found that women's average lifetime sexual partners increased from 3.7 in 1989 to 7.1 in 2010, with the sharpest rise post-2010 coinciding with the app's growth. Among app users, a 2024 Kinsey study found that women on dating apps averaged 12.4 partners versus 7.2 for non-users. That's almost double, with 38% reporting more casual encounters since starting apps. Now, it's easy to see how all this happened when we break down the economics of Tinder into simple terms. Check this
Honestly, bro, I hear that kind of stuff and it just makes me sad. Like, in my core, I'm just like distraught. It's ridiculous.
out. This icon represents 100,000 users on Tinder.
My bros, I shouldn't have to say this, but you need to stop using Zins as your pre-workout. Nicotine is a true...
I actually love
This
Ultras.
is what a million users looks like.
Or
This is
Alphas,
the number
whatever
of
they're
women
called. I have
on
one.
Tinder.
They're great.
And
Sponsor
this
me.
is the amount
Sponsor
of
me.
men on Tinder.
Hopefully they find me in the ether.
Yet only a small elite group of these men actually capture the vast majority of women's interests. Data from Hinge shows the top 1% receive over 16% of all likes from women. The top 5% get about 41%, the top 10% capture about 58%, while the bottom 50% of men just receive about 4% of likes. This concentration leaves the vast majority of men with very few or even zero matches. Women, however, inundated with options, have the luxury of being far more selective, swiping right on only about 5.
Have you guys ever seen a girl's Tinder? Like you can, like I've seen it happen where they create it on the dot and just flooded with likes. And then I remember when I used to have soldiers that I was in charge of, they'd be like, bro, I did a Tinder, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, dude, I get no likes. I'm like, for real? I'm like, how long have you had it? Like 2 weeks, bro. I'm like, not even a couple likes? Like, yeah, here and there, but like, I got 9. I was like, dude, that's bad. That's not good. Some of these guys are just cooked, bro. And some of them are like decent looking, and they're just bad at taking photos. And that itself, like, cancels them out from the dating market. It's crazy, bro.
Percent of men's profiles. Those 5% of profiles happen to be basically the same 5% of profiles that all women swipe on. So now you have a tiny group of men with basically all of the women. In contrast, most men swipe right much more liberally, typically on 46 to 62% of women's profiles. The sheer lack of matches that you were experiencing when you were on these apps?
Yeah. Essentially, it feels like such a waste of time. You send a message back and then nothing back from them anyway. So it's like I might as well maximize my options and swipe on literally everything with an app.
Now, all of this got me wondering, if the common experience on these dating apps is so bad, what keeps these men using them? The answer is much darker than you think, and we'll get to that in a bit.
Over the years of me using dating apps, maybe it's been 5 years now, I have received from Hinge, Catholic Match, and Bumble, and Upward over 200 likes, 2 to 5% of them I like that. And from there, maybe like half of them actually resulted in conversation. From the ones that resulted in conversation, I went in maybe like 1 date a year.
You go in thinking you have your filters and you think you're gonna find maybe like 10-15 girls who are around the area and you'll go on a few dates, but I was shocked pretty quickly how few women there are.
Basically, the women are sharing men. This is known as the popular 80-20 rule, or the Pareto principle applied to dating, where roughly 80% of women compete for the perceived top 20% of men based on attractiveness, status, height, money, leaving the remaining 80% of men with minimal attention. While some analysts debate this as an exaggeration, recent app data and user experience continue to show extreme inequality, with the top tier men dominating likes and matches. Now, what's even more sad is that estimates show that those unluckiest men likely account for about 70 to 85% of Tinder subscriptions and revenue. Now, how they get them to stay is even more crooked. According to Pew Research, twice as many men are single as young women. 63% of men versus 34% of women in 2022. And from 2019 to 2022, single men seeking a committed or casual relationship fell from 61% to 50%, an 11% point plunge, while women's rates stayed roughly flat. So you're wondering, how is any of this even possible? How can women not just be as single as men? Because the data tells us that, again, women are sharing men. This has tremendous consequences on women's behavior outside of dating apps and is a reason why you end up with women like this.
If you do not have money as a man, what is your worth? And I'm asking this as a genuine question.
Women literally hold the portal to life between our legs, and whether we decide to use it or not.
Bro, when I see those duck lips, I just like, mentally, everything you're saying to me already, in the fucking gutter, bro, in the trash. I'm taking everything you're saying and barely fucking listening to it because those duck lips say a lot. Say a lot about the person.
Or have the ability to use it or not, it's still there, and that's why women will always be worth what we are.
How much money do you spend per month on your lifestyle, including everything?
30 to 50K.
What's your occupation? What do you do?
A month.
I am a princess.
Would you date a guy that earns 50,000 per year?
Sorry, no.
Okay. How about if he earns 1 million per year?
Not enough for anything.
How about 5 million?
No.
10 million?
No. Not comfortable.
How many millions per year?
100 million.
100 million per year?
Yes.
Can you find that?
Fine.
Do you think you can find that guy in life?
Are these girls?
Very much, yes.
Are these girls even being serious when they're saying these things, bro? Like, look at this girl and look at how confidently she is saying, like, no, 100 million is what I need.
Everywhere.
A 2012 study in the
Insane.
Journal of Applied Psychology backs this up. The study found something simple. When people have a lot of power, it often amplifies how they think about right or wrong. When applied to women flooded with excessive attention, it corrupts their character by inflating entitlement, controlling behavior, and prioritizing self-validation over genuine connection.
They translate their dating experience on these apps to real life, and they start to get picky in real life too. They say, well, I don't need to talk to this guy at church. I don't need to talk to this guy at work. I got dating apps. They do get a lot of attention, and the guys will simp for them.
A 2018
Yes.
Polar study showed that
Major
women
problem.
exhibited a stronger, quote-unquote, better than average effect
I don't even blame the girls, bro. I blame the simps out there that are inflating the dating market and doing this to themselves, bro. Honestly.
when self-rating physical attractiveness on a 10-point scale. Both genders rated themselves above average, but women were 63% more likely than men to rate higher and saw themselves as more attractive than the average woman in 94% of cases versus only 78% in men. Do you think that these dating apps have actually bled into dating outside of dating apps?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They just want to go on the app, see hundreds of people, swipe on them every night. You're so beautiful, you're so this, just a massive cucking ritual of all these guys, right? That's what they want to go on there and see because that boosts their ego.
Now that we've crossed every threshold of insanity, the final product is disastrous. A couple of guys decided to do a Tinder experiment where they created a profile of a Chad-looking guy and made the bio, quote, "I have a criminal record for beating a woman, but we all have a past." But before we look at the results, I just wanted to say that it's difficult to find sponsors for videos like this, and so this one is sponsor free. The fact is these videos take weeks to produce each, and I'm currently a one-man team, but luckily the supporters over at buymeacoffee.com/lungsoffaith help make these videos possible. So if you like these videos, please consider donating over there. And something new is that supporters at $50 plus a month are credited as producers with real input on future topics. Back to the plot. So what do you think happened? A ban from Tinder? Maybe 0 matches because who in their right mind would match with someone who admits to beating women? No. 800 plus matches within the first 48 hours on Tinder, DMs packed to the brim with girls simping for him, and a lot of people came out saying, oh, there's no way they read the bio, most people just saw an attractive guy and so they swiped.
Definitely.
That's where you're wrong. Hannah says, I've got to ask about this criminal record of yours. I'm intrigued to say the least. The guy responds saying, she caught me cheating, but this was years ago. I have to be honest and I am not the same. She says, I'll give credit where credit's due. I appreciate the honesty. And these only get more insane. Rhea says, quote, willing to make an exception for blue eyes? Seems like a yes. Exceptions can be made. I must admit I don't shower. What? Laughing face. You must be joking. I like my natural musk. I'm sure you will, and you do look like you'd smell nice, so I'll take your word for it. So no, these women absolutely saw the bio and still chose to engage anyways, and not only that, but all of them messaged first. Meg says, do you want to make another half blank something, half Italian baby? And this brings us to why dating apps fail in the first place. Fundamentally, philosophically, they just don't work. Drumroll please. It's because dating apps are gambling. Did I say that already? Spin wheels to get discounted subscriptions or visibility.
That's literally what it
beginner's
is.
luck features to where new accounts often get a burst of high quality matches and likes in the first few days, then drop off sharply like Casino Lost Leader.
But if you guys haven't noticed, everything nowadays is essentially gambling. Everything has been gamified. I think it all started like a couple years ago when I really started noticing like the microtransactions and even the kids games and the Call of Duty, everything, the dating apps, it's all been gamified. It's disgusting.
Predicted profiles appear in unpredictable order each session, preventing habituation and forcing endless scrolling to find the one, an endless scroll where profiles keep loading forever, mimicking infinite slot reels. And it gets even worse when an FTC lawsuit actually accuses these dating apps of pushing fake profiles to scam 500,000 men into purchasing subscriptions. And we'll get to that. But the question I think we all have is, how is any of this legal? How are dating apps, which many point out are basically rebranded casinos, not regulated under gambling codes? Well, in the United States, there's limited federal privacy legislation specifically targeting the...
How do you go from zero experience to flying for one of the world's largest airlines? Let's find out as we go behind the scenes at ATP.
The addictive design of apps in general. However, the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, has historically failed to issue strict substantive rules for dating apps. Much of that is due to the bureaucratic liability shield of Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which shields technology companies, including dating apps, from liability for content posted by users, for example scammers or predators, which further distances them from being treated and held accountable as traditional, heavy regulated service providers. Now this becomes even more egregious when the founders of these dating apps literally tell us to our faces that they intend intended to create these apps with gamified functions using animal trials. Tinder co-founder and CEO Jonathan Badian admitted that swipe mechanics drew from these behavioral experiments studied in his psychology classes. Quote, "We have some of these game-like elements where you almost feel like you're being rewarded," quote, he said, likening it to a slot machine's quote-unquote nice little rush. And he admits that this was based on psychologist B.F. Skinner, who demonstrated this in the 1940s with pigeons in quote-unquote Skinner box.
I'm hearing a lot of these things that get planned out deliberately, and it's disgusting. Like, a lot of these things are not morally okay.
Hungry birds pecked buttons compulsively for food pellets delivered on unpredictable schedules, far more than for fixed rewards, essentially turning them into gamblers. As journalist Nancy Jo Sales noted in her 2018 documentary Swiped, Skinner essentially turned pigeons into gamblers. This is what Tinder is. You swipe, you might get a match, you might not.
Yeah, and a lot of these apps have the slogan "designed to be deleted." Is that true in your experience?
It is, but not for the reason they're saying.
Yeah.
They're designed to be deleted because they suck, my brother.
Probably say not. You get hooked pretty quick.
Well, partially true because I deleted the apps, but not for the reason that they claim.
No. Came from a 4-month-long relationship, and I deleted my apps, and it shows you kind of like a backlog of like how many people liked you. And from when I deleted it to like I got it back again, the amount of likes I have is the same. So none of them got a relationship during that time. None of them deleted the app.
Now, all of this gets far, far worse and more disgusting when we look at these apps' predatory pricing tactics. So this is the breakdown with all the different tiers. And honestly, it looks more like an insurance product than a dating app. Basically, the whole value added with each tier is additional simping technology like ultimate likes, see who likes you.
I love that. Additional simping technology. That's exactly what it is. And if you're paying for that stuff, you're a simp, bro. Like, almost a top tier simp, and that's not good, bro. That makes
so
your
you
touch
can
levels
spend money to message women with high
down
body
like
counts and bad attitudes. It's sad to believe that there's millions of men who actually pay for this. Premium features intensify this gambling, such as boosts for $3 to $7 for a 30-minute priority, or super likes $1 to $2 for extra visibility, or basically like buying slot spins for better odds.
Do the premium features work in your experience?
Nah. You know, some will let you not message until you pay. Well, I mean, that's yeah.
So some of them will literally make you pay in order to message the woman back.
Yeah, man.
It's ridiculous. They also practice something called drip feed pricing, which is really common in online casinos, and in my opinion is a highly immoral tactic. Here's why. So essentially, if you look here, it gives you one price, and you might be quick to think that this is the price for 1 month, but if you look a little bit closer, it's actually per week. So you end up paying 4 times a month, and you end up with a massive bill at the end of the month where you're asking, where did this come from? And then by the time they realize that they paid 4 times the amount for a month, most people are statistically too lazy to cancel it. But what happens when that very product that brings paying male users to the platform begins to burn out and leave? Tons of women are reporting burnout on dating apps and are leaving in droves. And an exponential number of men on forums around the world have been reporting for decades, but especially recently, a perceived increase of bot accounts, often portraying very attractive women. But when users match with these supposed profiles, the account either doesn't respond or simply deletes a few days later.
Some dating apps put fake profiles of very attractive, usually women, right? Because men are actually more likely to use dating apps and are more likely to pay for the premium profiles compared to women who don't have to because they're going to get matches anyway. So anyway, the dating app companies...
Let me reiterate that. We are treated by cattle by these major corporations. That's essentially what I see when I look at these people getting exposed for how they gamify everything, treat us like fucking they make us gambling addicts. I know for a fact, because of the video games that I played and the environment that I grew up in, my brain was very gamified. My neurological pathways developed that as a child, as a teenager. I grew up with the internet. I'm Gen Z as a motherfucker. It's like, dude, that's ridiculous, the level of manipulation that happens in society. And we just get exploited over and over again. It's like, fine, whatever. What are you going to do about it? I think there's actually quite a bit you can do about it. If you realize you're being manipulated, you can kind of escape in a sense. And you can use that information to your advantage. And then you have that information, you can make better steps forward, right? you can choose how to move it in your life a lot easier. At least from my experience, it gave me a lot of clarification how I want to play out this life that God has allowed me to live, right? And I think everyone should do the same. Really sit down and think, what is my path forward, right? What is the correct way to live? That's huge. That's huge. That is a deep question. Deep questions.
They'll seed them with fake attractive women profiles and intentionally match with men who have recently downloaded a new profile. And the idea here is that if they download the app and they immediately match with an attractive woman, and then they usually have a couple of conversational exchanges like, hey, how's it going? Good, how are you? Then that's it. The robot no longer responds to the user. The reason why this is done is basically to give them a little hit.
It's a major hit.
They called it chasing the dragon, which is basically a term from drug usage, right? From heroin. You give them a little hit and then they're going to be chasing that high for the rest of their lives. They are creating a lot of heartbreak and a lot of frustration.
You won't say which dating app. That's too bad because they deserve the exposure, but I understand your reticence.
I will say that if one app is doing it, then that means more than likely they all are.
Now, this is where things become a little bit more dicey and confusing because a lot of users are pointing out that they believe it's not Indian scammers or Bitcoin fraudsters, but potentially these dating platforms themselves creating these fake accounts. Here's why. I did manage to find some old news forums discussing the issue. One person saying, quote, while backpacking, I met a guy who works on one of these dating apps like Tinder. He used to handle strategy and confirmed to me that...
And you got to remember, these companies are beholden to the shareholders, and the shareholders want their shares to increase in value. Legally, they are required to extract as much profit as possible. So of course they're going to have these predatory tactics. This is what our society incentivizes. So it makes sense why we're going the way we're going if you really sit down and think about it.
The company itself puts fake profiles so that there is more engagement and premium purchases. And another said, quote, a lifetime ago I worked at friendfinder.com. We boasted of our 30 million customers, but in reality we had less than 1 million active customers in a given year. The other 29 million were either fraudulent affiliate signups or created by a team in China who were also paid to flirt 2 hours per day. 70% of our actual users were men, and about 1/3 of our active female users were prostitutes. Now, I must make clear that these are anonymous posts on the internet, so we have to take it with a grain of salt, but the sheer volume of these claims make them seem more credible. Some people willing to go on record. That's where we bring in journalist Steve Dean, who was a part of an ABC News 4 investigation into dating apps, and he shared some of his findings in an article. Apps can pay $50 to $500 for an instant access to thousands or even millions of fake profiles, just the photos and fake bios, basically as a zip file that they can load into their back-end servers. So essentially what they're alleging is that these dating apps are flooding their platforms full of fake female profiles to keep men using because, as we talked about previously, most men aren't getting any matches, and so in order not to alienate 80% of the male population, which also happens to be the ones paying for these subscriptions, these fake matches gives these poor men just enough hope not to delete the app. Similar to how slot machines allow for small wins, enough to keep you gambling. But these suspicions begin to take on more substance and credibility when it's the literal Federal Trade Commission going after them. The FTC alleges that millions of contacts that generated matches, quote, you caught his eye notices, came from accounts that the company had already flagged as likely to be fraudulent. Many consumers purchase subscriptions because of these deceptive ads, hoping to meet a real user who might be the one. The FTC alleges that instead these consumers often would have found a scammer on the other end. According to the FTC's complaints, consumers came into contact with the scammer if they subscribed before Match completed its fraud review process. If Match completed its review process and deleted the account as fraudulent before the consumer subscribed, the consumer received a notification that the profile was, quote, unavailable. In either event, the consumer was left with a paid subscription to Match.com as a result of false advertisement. Then it goes to clarify further. Consumers who considered purchasing a Match.com subscription were generally unaware that as many as 25 to 30% of Match.com members who register each day are using Match.com to attempt to perpetuate scams, including romance scams, phishing schemes, fraudulent advertising, and extortion scams.
So apparently everyone's just getting scammed in these dating sites. And I'm not surprised, bro. Like, if you think about, I bet you a bunch of these scammers are just dudes posting as fake females, like, oh yeah, come over. They're getting backdoored or something like that. I probably know some people that would do that, you know?
Oh boy. In months between 2013 and 2016, more than half of instant messages and favorites that consumers received came from accounts that Match identified as fraudulent, according to the complaint. So even if all of this
taste Test Tuesday. Damn.
Isn't true, and these dating apps aren't creating fake profiles themselves, which is still something that I'm highly suspicious of. It's clearly a good business model for these companies to simply not do anything or to delay doing something about.
I bet the profit the companies are making from this is massive. Has to be $1 billion industry, no? At least.
These scammers on these apps. How?
Hopefully he goes into it.
Well, FTC provides the receipts. Hundreds of thousands of consumers subscribed to Match.com shortly after receiving communications from fake profiles. This is where it gets crazy. According to the FTC's complaint from June 2016 to May 2018, for example, Match's own analysis found that consumers purchased 499,691 subscriptions within 24 hours of receiving advertisements touting a fraudulent communication. So in 2018, premium subs were about $9.99, so multiply that by 500,000. That's $5 million overnight. That's not even counting the fact that a lot of these subs were priced at $19.99 for all the people over 30. Now, in all fairness, Match Group responded to this lawsuit. They said that this lawsuit is ridiculous and has zero merit. Our business model is not based on advertising or engagement metrics. We actively strive to get people on dates every day and off our apps. Anyone who states anything else does not understand the purpose and mission of our entire industry. And this line is common in interviews with their CEOs. They hope that you just buy their slop and turn the other way, but look no further than Match Group's own SEC filings for this lawsuit. In their latest 10K, they warned that, quote, if we fail to retain existing users or add new users, or if our users do not convert into paying users, our revenue may be significantly harmed. Which, I mean, yeah, we all know that this is a business. Just stop lying to the goyim. They admit that their financial health depends on keeping the user base large, engaged, and paying, not on people. They admit that their financial health depends on keeping the. This is a business. Just stop lying to the goyim. They admit that their financial health.
Yeah, I heard that right. Did you guys hear that right?
Health depends on keeping the user base large, engaged, and paying, not on people finding love and leaving. Any drop in retention or growth means a material and adverse impact on the business. Corporate speak for if too many of you succeed at dating, we go broke. But how does a company get away with this scale of manipulation year after year? How does an industry worth $8 billion plus turn human loneliness into a slot machine without regulators shutting it down sooner? The answer starts to emerge when you trace the money and the people behind it. How did dating platforms become so popular? And what was the real motivation behind creating them? The truth is that everyone wants love. Love is the most vulnerable and intimate human desire, and everybody knows this, but that very vulnerability attracts con men and opportunists eager to extract every penny from it, even at the expense of your well-being and societies. This is exactly what Fran Mayer recognized in the late 90s when she helped shape Match.
We really focused on attracting women. So we only had 5 questions, and the 5 questions had a lot to do with how you looked.
Now, she revolutionized dating because she focused on targeting women's preferences first so that men would follow, a strategy that would later become a major point of contention.
197 Match. Finally, a service so hot, your phone will sizzle.
Hi, you're home alone?
This is the new Google Pixel 10. It now has magnets.
Oh, no way, that's true. That was an industry, huh?
See, for a secure mount, snap, or charge, your case needs magnets. Without them, your case...
Simps. Simps have always been around, guys. Always.
Friends aren't answering their phone? Don't just...
What kind of guy would call these girls back in the day? Simps. There's no other way to, say that.
sit there. I'm waiting for you to call me.
Dating platforms exploded in the mid-1990s internet boom. Match.com launched in April 1995 as the first major site founded by Gary Kleeman. The mobile revolution supercharged it. The iPhone made dating portable, and Tinder's 2012 launch introduced the addictive swipe mechanic, gamifying the process and pulling in millennials. By the mid-2010s, Tinder had billions of swipes and over 50 million users. Match Group, owner of Tinder, Hinge, OkCupid, Plenty of Fish, and dozens, if not hundreds of more, went public in 2015, transforming online dating into an $8 billion industry. Today, roughly 350 million people are actively using dating apps worldwide, with projections exceeding 500 million in the coming years, about 60% of the global dating age population. From the beginning, this was driven by business goals, not romance. A former Match Group employee told The Guardian and Observer in 2024, all they care about is revenue, finding as many ways as possible to lure people into a paid feature. Former Tinder CEO Sean Rad admitted that he became addicted himself, falling, quote, in love with a new girl every other week. In 2025, Match Group's CEO Spencer Rascoff acknowledged that apps often feel like a numbers-based game rather than a place to build real connections, prioritizing metrics and leaving users with the false impression that profit trumps genuine connections. But they'll always deny this, and it seems that it'll stay this way unless people really wake up to what is behind all of these dating apps.
What is it? Tell us.
Most places you look will lead the narrative back to Fran Mayer and just paint her as the savvy businesswoman with a wonderful idea, but they won't go any further to ask, okay, where did her funding come from? What were the motivations and worldview? Because something in my gut told me that it was more...
It's about to get deep. Oh, come on. He needs to go deep into this. Let's go.
Than about just money. Match.com didn't just pop out of thin air. It was heavily funded and incubated by IAC, Interactive Corp, under Barry Diller, a media mogul who built an empire from TV networks to digital ventures.
Barry Diller has shaped the media world for more than half a century, redefining television, launching networks, and backing bold ideas long before they were safe bets.
Diller acquired Match.com in 1999 and poured resources into growing it, including incubating Tinder in 2012 through IAC's Hatch Labs. By the time Match Group spun off as a public company in 2015, IAC had turned online dating into a profit machine. But Diller's worldview and shady practices? Well, he's a hardcore left-wing Democrat mega donor, funneling millions into progressive causes. He had a large association with ABC and Paramount Pictures and producing tons of very, very left-leaning, gender-bending, pro-LGBTQ, super progressive movies.
You're having sex?
Not surprising.
Just wanted it to be special. Why? You're gonna have so much unspecial sex in your life.
At the height, how many movies were you making for ABC?
75.
75 movies a year.
A year.
You came up with this idea of, well, why would we give Lew Wasserman all the power to make these movies?
It was my earliest thing of control. I didn't want anyone else controlling these.
FEC records show over $2 million donated since...
He said it. It's all about control. He wanted to control these things. Why did he want to control all of this media? To spin what kind of narratives? I think these are the questions that we need to be asking ourselves, right?
2016 alone. Maxed out donations to Biden, $6,600 to his campaign plus $100,000 to super PACs in 2023, endorsements and max outs to Kamala Harris in 2024, and big checks to Pete Buttigieg, Cory Booker, Amy Klobuchar, the DNC, $41,300 in 2023 to 2024, DSCC and state Democratic parties. His company's PACs are 99% Democratic leaning. This aligns with the app's amplifying individualism, sexual liberation, and cultural shifts that erode traditional family structures. Exactly the progressive playbook. The naivete that most people have is they think everything is solely rooted in business and greed, but there's millions of different business ventures you could choose to launch. The funny thing is these progressive people and pundits tend to always lean into positions of influence. They always end up in the film industry, playwriting industry, creating apps, creating things that can influence social movements. It's funny how that works. Now I want to spin this off a little bit to his wife.
Most importantly, the youth, which they have done a great job of doing, for sure.
Because his wife is a very interesting person and tells us a little bit more about his personal worldview. DFV was one of the most important figures in the 1970s sexual revolution, launching her iconic wrap dress in 1974 as a tool for quick, empowered hookups. Quote, it fitted in with the sexual revolution. A woman who chose to could be out of it in less than a minute. She lived it too, openly admitted to multiple lovers, men and women, including a brief fling with Richard Gere in the early 80s.
Back in the day, DVF had a brief love affair with Richard Gere.
I'm gonna go with what the
Okay.
Yeah.
DVF?
Well, it was a
On top of that, there's Warren Beatty, Ryan O'Neal, and others in a cocaine-fueled swirl of Studio 54 parties and bisexual explorations. Her memoir boasts of group sex and rejecting monogamy, promoting what critics call outright sexual degeneracy as, quote, liberation. Today, she's a self-proclaimed lifelong feminist, founding DFV Awards to grant $100,000.
That is a lifelong feminist. Good to know. That's what they look like.
Plus to radicals like Gloria Steinem, Hillary Clinton, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and designing for Planned Parenthood's 2024 abortion rights campaign, We Decide. Together, the...
Doesn't Planned Parenthood just kill a whole bunch of babies and that's all they do?
couple's philanthropy...
Why are these people supporting Planned Parenthood? Ugh. Just looking at them gives me the heebie-jeebies.
skews extremely progressive, millions to Democratic super PACs, women's empowerment, and LGBTQ plus causes. So what do you think that tells you about where they want to invest, where they want?
Oh my goodness, bruh. The peptides, I'm down.
Want to grow and where they want to push. I'll let you be the judge. Now, as vile as these apps are, gamifying loneliness into a global casino, taking advantage of the gender divide, they didn't create the sickness alone. They simply scaled it, because none of this works unless men cooperate. And for the last decade, too many men have. They funded the machine, fed it attention, and then acted shocked when it started treating them like disposable inputs. That's why I don't buy the black pill surrender, and I don't buy the stop simping, start pimping nonsense either. If the system is engineered to turn you into a consumer and a degenerate, why would your response be becoming an even better consumer and a bigger degenerate? Here's the real rot. Men are pedestalizing women, orbiting, begging, financing hypergamy with premium swipes and boosts, while these apps dangle dopamine like carrots and train your lower appetites to override your reason and your logical thinking. Once lust is in the driver's seat, everything else becomes negotiable. Your standards, your dignity, your future, even your faith, the result is predictable. Dating turns into a beggar's game. Premarital sex becomes leverage against men, and women, especially the most validation hungry and status driven, end up holding the market share power. Not because women are evil, but because any market built on desire instead of virtue will reward whoever can extract the most from it. And yes, the red pill, black pill, and all the internet pills sometimes touch real things and diagnose many of the problems correctly. Christians shouldn't be afraid to admit that. The modern West is in rough shape. Incentives are upside down. Modesty is mocked. Fidelity is treated as a joke, and a lot of women have been catechized by the culture into seeking attention as oxygen. That is real. But here's the part those movements don't want to say out loud. Men are the ones who keep paying for it. Ultimately, it comes down to simp economy, because men...
This is what I was saying earlier. It's all the simp's fault. It's these guys' fault. If everyone had the discipline to not be a simp, right? We would be doing so much better. It wouldn't be as incentivized. It wouldn't be able to manipulate us as freely. But so many guys are weak up here. It's ridiculous. And that's what really pisses me off. That we're doing it to ourselves.
Prop up the attention simp industry. Men normalize the rot by rewarding it, by giving in, by financially and sexually and socially supporting it. Men complain about the game while still logging in and playing it every night.
I said Dooney87. I'm about to download Discord.
At our cultural role models. Our culture elevates powerful men who publicly celebrate indulgence, status, and novelty, like Barry Diller, who absolutely get cucked out in their marriages, who treat commitment like it's a temporary accessory. Media figures who sell cheap slogans about keeping the peace in your home and happy wife, happy life, modeling a marriage and family life that looks nothing like sacrifice or real leadership. These guys are not leading anyone out of the fire. They're just proof that you can have money and influence and still be spiritually owned by the same impulses as a teenager with a phone. That is why none of this is just dating discourse.
Why even have money, bro, if you're still gonna be simping?
This is spiritual anthropology. Scripture shows this pattern in the fall of mankind, where Eve is deceived by flattery, attention, and the promise of more. The exact same way women are today with dating apps. Adam abdicates and goes passive when he was called.
What a beautiful parallel. What a way to bring this together. Oh my God. This guy's great.
Guard her the same way men passively sit and play the game instead of whipping society into shape. The lesson is that sin has a shape, and men and women tend to be tempted differently. Modern Christians don't want to call this out. Women tend to be pulled towards external validation and social persuasion. Men's primary vice tends to be being pulled towards cowardice, laziness, lust, and a refusal to lead because they're just afraid. The truth is simple. Attention tends to corrupt women, while it often forges strong men. Women's virtues usually deepen in privacy and fidelity, while men actually decay in isolation, where sin and corruption has room to grow in silence. Why do you think all of the most corrupt men do it in secret? The early Christians understood this very well, which is why they treated sexual chaos like a civilization killer. Not because they hated women, but because they loved souls and knew exactly what disordered desire does to a community. They built a culture around chastity, sobriety, and accountability, and marriage that actually meant something, supported by family, church, and thick community. Here's the hot take: we don't need better dating strategies. We need a clean break. If we want any hopes for the future, we actually have to abandon the entire modern dating system, the fruits of the free love incentives, and not enough people are ready to say that. We have to get rid of the commodified sex, the marketplace designed to keep you lonely, distracted, and pliable. You can't reform an arena that's built to deform you, and long term that means we have to rebuild something closer to arranged marriage. Not forced marriage, not marrying a stranger, but real arranged marriage where...
How do we do that? How do we start going back and enforcing marriages? Because like the pendulum swung one way, right? Very liberal society now that we have. How do we swing it back the other way? I think that is the question. And how do we do it effectively in a way that wouldn't destabilize society? I don't know if you can, right?
Family and community vetted courtship, introductions, accountability, pastoral guidance, and serious discernment instead of vibes and dopamine. In one South Asian study where marriages where the couple and the families chose together had a 1.9% divorce and separation rate compared to the 10.6% when the respondent chose alone, and 7.5% when family chose alone. And in India, a nationally representative analysis found that divorce and separation remains generally below 1% for men and women. So no, the answer isn't giving up and pimping. It isn't despair, because this problem is fundamentally fixable with the right infrastructure. And that answer can only be the Christian answer: repentance, discipline, and rebuilding order. And remember, none of this matters if your spiritual life is dead. If you're not praying, you're not fasting, you're not going to liturgy, you can be upset with the world all you want, and rightfully so, but without the armor of Christ and without your own repentance, you have zero chance of making any difference. When you get those things in order, confess your sins, and receive the holy sacraments, you will be surprised what God can do with you. Put down your phone, stop feeding the machine, return to prayer, fasting, and liturgy in real community, and become a man who can actually lead himself so that one day he can lead a household and the world around him. Because the only real way to beat a system designed to corrupt you is to become the kind of man that it can't use. Until next time, this is Lungs of Faith, and as always, don't negotiate with terrorists.
What a beautiful message. Go subscribe to the guy, Lungs of Faith. You heard him. Oh my goodness. He's speaking facts. The only way we're going to get out of this crazy situation our society is in is with the help of God. With the help of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. It's the only way. There is no other way. Am I wrong? I don't think so. But hell yeah, that was badass. I think I'm going to end it here. My little siblings are arriving from school, and I want to go be #1 family man. All right, that's could be one set. So I appreciate you guys. Appreciate y'all showing love, coming up, chatting. It's always a blessing, you know, to have an audience, even if it's not huge. It's still cool. But yeah, appreciate you guys.